Yeah.
Hey, Skyler.
Hi, Skyler. Gilchrist, welcome to the Share Chair.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for your energy with Be Nice and what happened. That was just last week, right?
That was not last week, but the week before.
Is that
was,
right?
The Be
Gosh, it
Random
feels
Acts of Kindness
Random
Week.
Act of Kindness Week.
Be Nice for Random Acts of Kindness Week. We had something for each day. And we started the week with a big group made caramel apples to sell throughout the week to buy for other people. And then I made a bunch of really big, I called them bubble signs, kind of like speech bubble signs, just with positive messages to make people smile and get that warm, fuzzy, good feeling, and just kind of a pick-me-up, because not gonna lie, after you go to math class, you're just like, wow, life's kind of terrible. And it says, an example of one was you're loved, just to know that you're something to somebody or whatever, just a pick-me-up. And then we did the locker signs, so every kid in the school, or at least who was present that day, but they wrote just a positive message on a piece of paper, and then we put them all over the tables in Miss Boots' room. There were so many. I think you were there for that, Elise.
Yeah,
the
for
reading.
a little while.
And then we went and put them all in boxes and just hung them up on every locker. So then you came to school the next morning, and it was just a rainbow of color and just all these positive messages, and they made you smile.
I can't help but think the lockers are designed for all these athletes and sometimes theater students and whoever else, but there are lots of people who never get a locker sign,
Yeah.
and so
And I think that's kind of how I got the idea for him last year. Was I remember my freshman year of track, there was our two track captains, and one of them, I made signs just for our two captains or whatever, and she just came up and hugged me, and she's like, I've never had one before, this is the first time I've ever had anything in my locker, thank you. And I think that's really where the idea for that came from, was just the idea that I'm so used to it because I'm in cross country and I'm in track and all this stuff, but not everybody's in that. So and when I get them, they just make me so happy. Why can't you make someone else feel happy too?
So what do you think so Random Acts of Kindness Week, I really think of the small acts that happen, the signs and just holding a door for someone or paying for someone's coffee.
Yeah.
Why are those effective? What value do those hold for you as a person?
Really all I want for everybody's, I just want people to be happy. I remember, I think, for me, what really got me involved in Be Nice was my sophomore year, so the beginning of last year, I had foot surgery, and that was just a really dark time, and I wasn't very happy, and I didn't want anyone to ever have to feel like that. I wanted people to genuinely feel happy and not like that, and that's just kind of what sparked Be Nice for me. And I wanted everyone to smile all the time and just be happy. I'm a people pleaser. I just want people to smile.
Well, for you, so if you could go back to that time then about not being happy, someone who likes to be happy, but you weren't happy after that foot surgery. It's impossible for everybody to feel happy all the time. It's nice, I think, of you to say, but you yourself, who values happiness, was not happy at one point. So.
I think for me, running was a big identity of mine. That is how I identified myself. So that when I could do that again, I felt I slowly gained that identity back for myself. But then I realized that it wasn't the only thing in this world. And then it helped me really just open up to the idea of it made me a lot more sensitive to people's feelings.
How so?
Because it made me more sensitive to my feelings, which made me realize that I could look at someone and just be wow, they're just kind of having an off day. And then it made me just send a text to them and just be hey, you're perfect, just I want you to know everything's great and you're awesome. Something to make them smile, because I didn't want them to have that dark feeling. I think it's so it makes me happy just hear other people's stories and what they've been through and help them through things, and I hope someday I can use that with whatever I end up being in a career. I just feel too often we feel people tell you there has to be a solution and, like, everything has to work out perfectly, but it's just the whole idea of, like, everything's not perfect, and, like, everyone has their own story to build. And
when you were thinking about, I think you did use the word identity, that being a runner was a major identity. What would you say are your other identities, if runner and what else?
Runner, and then my personal skills, like, I really enjoy just talking to people. Organizing? That sounds weird, but, like, when it comes to, like, organizing events and, like, just groups of people and things, like, it's kind of just one of my, like, an ish, like, everyone has it.
You like doing that?
I love doing that. Like, I clean my kitchen or my room, and it's like everything has a spot, and if it's not in its spot, I redo it like 12 times.
So what else with school, like academic-wise? Do you have any favorite subjects?
I really enjoy the sciences.
Really?
I've taken literally almost every science course Spring Lake has to offer. And then I've taken, like, psych through MCC, which was really cool because I do almost all dual enrollment now. But and the AP Bio and just all the, like, standard earth science. So, like, not like in math and I just don't click. Like, it does not make me feel like a smart person. But then, like, with the sciences, it makes sense. I can connect it to the outside world and bring it into other things. And, like, psych, like, when I was in that class, that was one of the coolest classes I've ever taken. We learned all about how, like, the human brain and emotion and, like, how people act and, like, why they act that way. And, like, that was really cool because that's something that I'm really interested in, I guess. Like, the whole being nice and being happy and the feelings, that really helped, like, it made it make sense.
And your whole personality is great because it's really cohesive. Like, you can just see it melt together. Like, so you really like the psychology, and that maybe leads into your, like, understanding of people and liking to talk to people. And then you like to organize, and that's, like, sciences because it's really straightforward and organized and has everything as a reason. And just running as well. Like, I feel like there's a lot of psychology in running. I really like, I'd like to talk about that mind over matter subject when you're running and you don't think your body can keep going, but it can. Like, I don't know what to ask, what question specifically to ask about that, but can you, like, broaden the subject on that idea, maybe?
Like, the whole mind over matter and running. And, like, my freshman year, like, I was going to be varsity, and I was not going to accept anything less than varsity. And the fact that I put my head to it, like, then I was like, like, I am varsity, and I found myself actually being, like, in the top 5 runners, not even the top 7, and, like, I think my mind really helped because then I can compare it to, like, my junior year, so this year, and I was really questionable. Like, I really asked myself, I'm like, am I good enough to still be varsity? Like, is it still, like, I couldn't run at all last year, like, am I still good enough? And you could really see with my times that, like, maybe I was questioning myself. So I was telling myself I didn't know if I could, so my body didn't know if I could. You have to have your mind set on your dreams, or else they're not going to come true. Like, if you don't have goals to work toward, then what are you working for?
Hey, this question has to be asked before we leave.
Okay.
How is it to be the daughter of the principal?
I love it, actually.
Okay,
it's
cool.
one of the greatest, like, blessings of my life. Like, my dad is my best friend, so I get to have my best friend with me literally 24 hours a day. It's always, like, he supports me in everything, in my school and, like, my faith. Like, I have a really strong, like, in my church, and, like, he's always supported me with that. I think my faith, for me, that's another really strong thing I, like, gained from last year, was that it makes me happy. And, like, it makes me realize that there's just so much more out there, and just that constant, like, feeling of being supported. Because, like, that was something that was really hard for me, was, like, self-confidence. But just, I always felt supported, and I always felt loved, and, like, just knowing that there's something that I can always turn to. Like, it's a great feeling.
What a terrific feeling,
Yeah.
It's a stable presence.
Stable presence. I really like that.
Yeah. If you have any general advice for kids who are having a dark time right now and like need to sift through that, or future science people, or kids who don't have as good a relationship with their families and they want what you have with your dad? Like, do you have any advice for just anyone that you can think of?
Just be as open as you possibly can, because the more open you are to people, the more you can build a relationship with them, and then it's easier that way. So you have a relationship to build with people, and then you're more connected to them, and you find yourself smiling more, and like then when you see them do things that are good, it makes you feel happy, and then it's a big snowball effect. One person does one thing good to somebody, that leads to another and another and another. So just do little things, open up to people, smile at somebody, just text them and let them know that like they're loved and they're having a good day, and like just reach out to people.
Thanks, Skyler.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Share Chair. Stay tuned next week for a new one. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter for regular updates at The Share Chair. And if you're interested in having a piece of your writing or an experience shared on the podcast, contact Elise McGannon at 203-505 at springlakestudents.org.